Happy Monday, degenerate gamblers. Welcome back to the Die Hard MMA podcast. We are headed to Kansas City, UFC Kansas City Fight Week, baby. We have got a whole stacked card ready for you to go. And when I say stacked, I actually kind of mean stacked. Like, this is not your usual dumpster divey type of week. These are actually some pretty fun fights. So I am very, very much looking forward to breaking this one down with this week's guest, talking to you guys, getting into all the nitty gritty. We had a week off. We're coming off of a break week, and it felt good. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I donated a little bit in the PFL. That felt bad. My entire night came down to Clay Collard and just one of those MMA classic, freakish, one of a kind, that doesn't happen 99% of the time type of shots, put him out. And that was my night. That was my night. So Clay Collard, just, I love losing money on him. Favorite underdog. Doesn't matter. He costs me. I got to stop betting PFL. I say that literally every single time I bet a PFL event and I lose money on it, which is most of them. So anyway, I'm happy to have the UFC back. We got a big win last week in the UFC, not last week, last show 2 weeks ago. And hopefully we're going to be getting back on track from this point out. We're feeling good. The vibes are high. We got the crew together. We got Dream in the chat, UFC. We got free UFC bet picks. Grateful dude, Ethan Hershey, who did good and paid up on that shot bet. I had a 2-for shot bet week. So you guys, your boys rolling on the shot bets, let me tell you. Mushroom MMA, VGO, Den Daddy. We've got Dylan in the house. What's going on, everybody? Annoyed Squidward, how you doing? Stiff Car, what's up? I don't know why we do that. That's the thing now. Anyway, all right. Enough of that. There's no last week to recap, so we can really just get right on into it. So let me bring in this week's guest. One of your favorites, one of my favorites, one of the OGs in the space, none other than Dan from Half the Battle. What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Doing amazing. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm doing good. One of those weeks where life outside the internet has been a little bit rough, so I'm kind of happy to be anchored in here. You know, I've got you hanging out with me. We're talking about my favorite sport on planet Earth, and that's going to kind of center me a little bit. Some therapy this week, if you will.
Yeah, man. I hope everything is good, you know, on your end. Always feel free to reach out anytime. You know, I got your back, and hopefully talking about the fights plus watching the fights can take your mind off of things for a little bit.
Absolutely, man. Hell yeah. Well, and for the people in the chat, you guys are always here with me. You guys are always, supporting me. So I don't mind giving a little peek behind the curtain and stuff like that with you people. So my wife's grandma has been in the hospital for like a week now. So it's been like a week straight. She finally got released. So thank God she got to go home. But just a real scary thing, you know, because my daughter hangs out with her like 3 times a week. They're like best friends. They actually share a birthday. It's crazy. So they're super close. They're super connected. And everyone was real scared that, you know, grandma's clock was running out. So we're really happy that she's home. We're really happy that she's healthy, but it's been exhausting. And of course, my wife is spending a lot of time hanging out with her, keeping an eye on her. So all the normal day-to-day activities that she usually helps me cover, they're falling to me. And now my dog is sick. So last night I had to rush my dog to the emergency room. And so he's not doing well. He's not feeling well. So just one of those things where it's kind of piling up. You know what I mean? So happy to be here. Happy to be talking fights. Real quick, Mushroom buddy in the chat. Please be respectful. Like, I know you're hanging out. I know you hang out and you support the show, and I appreciate the hell out of you for it, but respect the guest. Don't want to have it be weird to go any further or anything like that. So let's just chill out in the chat a little bit. KB, absolutely. When it rains, it pours. And that's just how it seems to go with life, man. Betting, like when you get on a bad run betting, you couldn't hit water if you fell out of a boat type situation. That's how life is too. Sometimes it just gets bad. And like I said, I'm grateful to you guys. Dan, I'm grateful for you being here. I've got a great circle. I've got a very supportive group of people. So this is where I like to be when things get tough. It feels good to be here and hang out with you guys and talk fights.
Man, well said, brother. Well said, man. And again, never hesitate to reach out. There's tons of people that got your back, myself included. I know tons of the people in the chat got your back. And we know, when health, it's such a, man, it's one of those things, and family members, and the years are passing by. So I completely relate, brother. And, we got your back.
I'm getting old, Dan. What happened? I started this show. I was a young buck. What happened? Anyway, we got fights to get into, you guys. We got fights to get into. So let's leave the sad sack behind us here, and let's go ahead and start talking about some MMA. And what could be better to start our night off than some low-level women's MMA action? Everybody's favorite. Chelsea Chandler takes on Joselyne Edwards. And do me a favor, we already got about 170 of you in here, so smash that like button for us and make sure you're giving my guy Dan some support, because if you don't know Dan, obviously you should. He's the godfather of MMA at this point here, so go give my man a follow. But Joselyne Edwards, 14-6, 29 years old. Chelsea Chandler, 6-3, 34 years old, which actually, Dan, that one kind of sent me for a loop for a little bit. For some reason, I feel like I thought Chelsea Chandler was in her prime. I kind of thought she was in her 30, maybe 31. I didn't realize she was 34, so had to do a little bit of a brain check there on that one. She's been having a bit of a tough time. Chelsea Chandler is 2-2 so far in the UFC. She missed weight in back-to-back fights, which that's it. We'll get to that. She's not alone there in that one. I found it interesting that her last time out, she was only plus 115 to Yana Santos. Now, I know Yana Santos is much like me. She's getting old, right? Everyone was ready to bet against her. She's been kind of sliding a little bit, but there was just a very real levels gap between the two of them. And I know a lot of people donated on Chelsea Chandler the last time. I think I was one of the few that actually was confidently laying it with Santos that night, and it worked out, but not without a few scary moments, man. Chelsea Chandler is a beast. She's physical. She's plotting. She comes forward. She's very thick and meaty, and she hits people and hurts women, man. When she connects, you can see these women don't want anything to do with that power unless you're Norma Dumont, and you can you dig those thunder thighs in and throw back even harder than her. Most of these mid to low tier women can't handle the power from Chelsea Chandler, so you're either taking her down, or like Yana Santos, you're dancing around the cage and making sure she can't touch you. That's what it takes to beat this girl. She's got 2 losses to good competition. She's got 2 wins over very poor competition. Kind of hard to know really where she's at. Joselyne Edwards, 29 years old, like I mentioned before. She's actually missed weight, Dan, in 3 of her last 5. So both these girls are flirting with 145 pounds. Like, neither of them seem to be able to make weight in this weight class. I was very, very grateful we got that big round 3 sub call from Joselyne Edwards in her last fight out against Tamars Vidal. You can see the grappling has come a real long way. Her striking is solid, but she still really leaves herself open to be hit, man. I feel like Joselyne Edwards is damn near defensively void at times on the feet. She'll get in the pocket and she'll slug it out, and she's there to be hit. She does have some brief, shiny moments, though, where even when she kind of gives up bad positions on the ground, when she was fighting Aileen Perez, she reversed her a couple of times and got on top position. Not an easy thing to do. But the one thing I've always said about Joselyne Edwards, she is not physical enough for me. Even that Aileen Perez, where she had those brief moments, she hit those reversals, stuff like that, she always ended up on her back. As soon as Aileen Perez wanted to get on top of her, wanted to get those takedowns, she ended up on her back. This is a spot, Dan, where I can't fathom laying this price tag. Joselyne Edwards is minus 300. You've got plus 240 coming back on Chelsea Chandler. And this is dog or pass to the max to me, because I can't trust Joselyne at this number when she is constantly missing weight. She is constantly fighting close. She is constantly in split decisions. And the one thing that I look at Joselyne Edwards every time and go, if I can abuse the physicality, that's the angle. That's exactly what we've got here. Chelsea Chandler is another weight misser at this weight class. She's going to be bigger. She's going to be stronger. I can't trust Chelsea Chandler's fight IQ, but if she comes out and she looks to mix in takedowns, I don't see why she can't bully Joselyne Edwards around the cage. When they start throwing down in the center of the octagon and Joselyne doesn't run away the way Talia Santos did, she's going to get cracked. And power for power, Chelsea Chandler hits harder. I think Joselyne Edwards is far and away the better mixed martial artist. She's way more technical. But when we talk about who's getting landed on, I think Edwards is going to feel it when Chandler lands. And I don't know that Chandler's going to mind getting hit by Joselyne Edwards. Am I crazy, Dan? I'm very tempted on taking one last ride on Chelsea Chandler at plus 135, plus 140 to start the night. What do you think of this fight?
I mean, sometimes you gotta be a little crazy to, hit a big underdog like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm not against it. Pull up Cade Garrison's comment real quick for me, please.
Where you at, Cade? There you are.
So I thought that was a hilarious comment because the way I viewed Chelsea Chandler, like when I watched her tape, I don't know why. Have you ever seen that movie Matilda?
Yes. Dude, it was my daughter's favorite movie.
She reminds me of the bully in Matilda for whatever reason. Miss Trunchbull or whatever.
Miss Trunchbull.
Trunchbull, yeah, bro. I don't know what it is. And I know, Chelsea a lot younger, so I'm not trying to be disrespectful. But I don't know. Her style, like, it's not much technique. It's just a lot of brute. And, like, let me say this, dude.
I can see it.
Did the UFC get rid of the women's 45-pound division?
I don't think they ever confirmed it. It's one of those things where like it's gone, but I don't think they ever said for certain. Like I wouldn't be shocked if they're letting it linger around just in case they wanted to do something with like Nunez or something like that. I don't know.
Hey, but y'all in the comments, if anyone knows for a fact that they did or didn't get rid of women's featherweight, let us know. The reason I'm saying that is because Clint was alluding to the fact that both these ladies are habitual missers at bantamweight. Like, why not let them go fight at 45 if that division still exists? Listen, I think that Joselyne Edwards, obviously, better technical acumen on the feet, better kicks, whatnot. I do think compared to her early days, her takedown defense and her get-up game has gotten better, but that's still a weakness, right? Like if you see Joselyne Edwards on her back, are you going to be surprised? No, I'm not. That being said, it's like with Chelsea, I don't see the technique. I just kind of see a brute, right? So, yeah, I mean, listen, if she can get on top of Joselyne, I'm not writing off that possibility. I just think that Joselyne's so much more technically superior. But minus 300, like, come on, dog. I'm good on that. I'll pick Joselyne straight up, but I think at these odds, it might actually be a dog or pass situation like you were saying. So best of luck to you if you decide to move in on the dog.
Yeah, we'll see if I actually want to plug my nose and take the swing at it. But man, this one's got split decision written all over it. So I might have to, man. I might have to. We'll see. You guys, after taking a week off of talking about MMA, the very first thing I'm going to do is pick a terrible, greasy, mangy underdog that is going to make everybody scream at me when I decide to put my hard-earned money on it. So we'll see how this goes. Next fight up, we've got Timmy Cuamba coming back, and he's taking on Roberto Romero. This is such a fun fight, Dan. Timmy Cuamba, he's had a tough start to his UFC run here. 0-2 off Dana White's Contender Series, but the kid is only 26 years old. You go back to his first fight in the UFC, and it was a short notice fight, up a weight class. He fought that to a split. But against Oki, man, I went back and I reran that fight. It shouldn't have been a split. That's one of those ones where you get that rogue judge that throws in a 30-27 or something like that for the wrong guy. And it was not that close of a fight. He got pieced up pretty much the entire night. He held his own. He was in the fight, but I don't think he had an argument really for winning it. He's more low volume than I remembered. You go back and you kind of rerun his tape there. He's got snappy hands. He's got good combos. I really like his 1-2, but he admires his work. He kind of sits back after he does a little bit, and he kind of, sets a slow, low pace. And that, I think, has already kind of bitten him so far in these first two UFC fights. He needs to go for it more, in my opinion. I think he would have a lot more success if he really spent time getting after it. I got to give him props for hanging in there against Lucas Almeida. Lucas Almeida is a finisher. Lucas Almeida is a big guy who hits hard. And being able to go 15 minutes with that guy shows off the kind of heart durability Timmy's got, he's bringing to the table. So cardio checked out, chin checked out, boxing checks out. I just worry about the volume. Timmy is going to be 1 inch taller. He will have a 1 inch reach advantage. And Roberto Romero, I feel, is better than his record shows. He's 8-4-1, 25 years old, filled in on short notice against David Onama. And man, if we're giving anybody credit for a loss, this kid deserves credit for a loss. Like, he took Onama to the limit, hit him with a massive right hand at the beginning of the fight, sent him flying, almost knocked this guy out in the first round. And then Onama, doing what he does, kind of, fought his way back into it, showed there's levels. And Romero, on short notice in round 3, he was on his back, dang near got TKO'd. So it kind of ended the way everyone kind of thought it would end up looking like. But he held his own in that fight. I love his leg kicks. He's very nasty with those. He had a very quick transition to the back where he almost got the rear naked choke on a guy like Onama, which would have been incredibly impressive. You can tell this guy's got heart. He's got that Mexican boxing durability where he's just mean, man. He's got hate in his heart. He wants to come forward and he wants to hurt you. I like someone like a Roberto Romero. Tough fight because the UFC really is trying to figure out, who's the guy they want to hang on to moving forward. Romero might be able to take a loss and get one more call. Timmy probably gets cut if he takes the L here on this one. I'm going to kind of lean that direction. I think when they car crash, Romero's going to be the one hitting harder. And then I think Romero also is going to be the guy we can rely on to have more volume because Timmy, like I mentioned, he will sit back and he will take it a little bit slow. And Romero doesn't do that. This guy's going to bite down and come forward. So unless he gets hit with something big, I think he'll work his way to a win in this fight. And I'll say Timmy's durability hangs in there, right? I'll say it's a decision win, but it's a pick 'em fight for a reason. I kind of lean towards Romero here.
Yeah, listen, man, Romero to come in on a week short notice, a couple days short notice, and you're fighting Onama. Like, damn, dude. Like, Onama is battle tested, bro. Onama is one of these kids that comes into the UFC. Clint, you remember that Mason Jones fight? You remember that Mason Jones fight? Like, this dude comes in there against Mason Jones, has an absolute war with him, starches Gabriel Benitez. The Nate Landwehr fight was absolutely incredible. To hand a guy like Gabriel Moscotino Santos his first octagon defeat. Well, I just spilled my water as I have moved my hands back to give emphasis.
Nothing is in my vicinity, Dan. I've got like a little bubble here because I know I talk with my hands.
Yeah. After I break this down, I have to wipe this down. Like I go like this when someone makes a big point and I just knock my water down. But listen, man, on like no camp and you're out here fucking like, those first 4 minutes, man, this guy pushed the pace on Onama. But the issue was that he ran out of ideas, right? And I do have questions about the fight IQ because, look, he was doing great and he dropped Onama and it seemed like right then and there, hey, bro, a couple follow-ups, you're about to get one of the biggest upsets of the year. And instead of following up, he didn't even throw one follow-up punch. This guy opts to take the back of Onama. We know Onama, like I said, the Mason Jones fight, the Nate Landwehr fight. Like, bro, even if this guy's exhausted, if this guy's hurt, he's not a quitter. One thing about Onama is that dude is tough as nails, right? So he fought through it. And a lot of people, I was talking to some smart people that I respect that were telling me that they thought it was crazy that all 3 judges scored the first round for Onama. And the reason I disagree is this. Look, I will concede the facts that Romero did great, dropped him, did all these things. But when here's why I scored it for Onama. Okay. So both guys got knockdowns, right? But when Romero knocked down Onama, he did not follow up and he tried to take the back and basically just let Onama recover. There was no follow-up damage. Whereas when Onama dropped Romero, I mean, he got on top of him and started unleashing some bombs. That's the last thing that the judges remember. Hey, all 3 judges scored it 10-9 for Onama. So I don't think that's crazy like a lot of people are trying to say. Damn well with the state of judging, they remember the last thing they saw, and the last thing they saw was the biggest moment of the round. So, yeah, I can go on about that. But as far as Cuamba, he's an interesting cat because, first of all, he's very young too, right? Like, so he comes into the UFC and he's fighting these real experienced guys. A lot of people didn't even think he won his Contender Series fight against Vogel, who's also a stud. And the thing with Cuamba compared to Romero, I think Romero is, just a tough-nosed Mexican brawler, like goes out there. I bet he's deceptively strong. He hits hard. There's just questions about, what are his other options if, just going out there and standing and banging doesn't work with you. Like I said, he tried to take the back of Onama at a terrible time when a couple of punches, you might get a TKO there. So I got questions. It's not about the fight IQ for me, Clint. It's about the experience, right? Mm-hmm. Because with experience, that's how your fight IQ develops, right? And then with Cuamba, having those 2 very tough fights in the octagon with, kind of a prospect in Oki and kind of a vet in Almeida, I'm hoping, like, kid, you crush the grapes. Will you drink the wine? I don't know if you will or you won't, but I do think he's more technical than Romero. But ultimately, Clint, I just see this being like a 50-50 split decision type fight. And yeah, so I don't know. I'll go Cuamba here.
Okay. Yeah, so a little bit of disagreement here. It is a coin flip. Pick your poison on this one, ladies and gentlemen. Could go either way. I want the guy who's going to come forward more. I want the guy who's going to throw more, you know what I mean? But hey, that opens up counters, so you never know. Like you said, if he's not the slicker of the two, he may end up paying for that. We'll see. I can't wait. I cannot wait for that fight. My guy Kloss in the chat saying, dang, I missed the Joselyne Edwards talk. Top 3 cheeks in the UFC. Oh, Kloss, we wouldn't blame you one bit for going back to listen to the start of the show. Don't worry about it. You're here in time. Thank you very much for being here.
Hey, real quick, speaking of that topic, before I forget, because I was going to bring it up. I was going to bring it up earlier when we were talking about Norma. Is Norma and Marco Tulio MMA's newest power couple? Because I mean, like, once they got together, like, dude, Marco is just like, do you remember he didn't make it to the UFC on his first Contender Series like fight? Dana was like, yeah, you're talented, but I'm just not feeling it, right? And then he comes out there the second time, spinning back kick knockout. Now he's knocking dudes out in the UFC. Norma's a fight or two away from a title shot. Hey, I'm just saying that's MMA's new power couple.
I like it. I like it. And man, really, like, he saw what happened. Who was the bum that was dating Mackenzie Dern? He saw what happened to that guy.
Which one? No, I'm just kidding. Antonio.
Antonio. He saw what happened to Antonio and was like, man, I'm dating Norm Dumont now. I got a reputation to uphold here. That man is fighting for those cheeks. So he's doing what he's got to do.
Give me 1 second, brother. I got to clean up this fucking water. All right.
You're all set, man. You're good. I'll preview the next fight. You come back when you're ready.
I'll be right back. 1 second. Okay.
You're good. You're good. All right. And shout out my guy, Paul. Hilarious. Tuned in, heard Onama, thought I missed the whole show already. It was pretty funny, man. I was about to ask Dan. I was going to be like, so are you breaking down the Onama fight? Or are we still talking about Timmy here? Because man, with these, when they sign these people up who have like common opponents, or the last guy they fought is on the card with them for later on, it gets real confusing. You got to keep a couple of cards close to your chest, like you're playing poker, right? Because you're like, I'm going to talk about this guy later. I can't give it all away right now. Dravi, what's going on? Says, what's up? Here to hear Dan break down the Wellmaker and Saaiman fight. Can't wait for that one. Absolutely can't wait for that one. And I love that we've got Dan particularly on this card to go ahead and talk about that. Speaking of which, Dixon, Norma does OnlyFans? Does she do OnlyFans? I didn't know she did OnlyFans. All right. Next fight, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Jaqueline Amorim takes on Polyana Viana. And oh boy, you guys know I'm a reformed man. I'm a changed man, Dan. I do not any longer care or complain about cheaters in mixed martial arts. So, a year or so ago, I would have raged on this show for about a good 30-40 minutes without even breaking down the fight down about how bad Jaqueline Amorim is and how bad she cheated and how I lost the ticket and she robbed me. And, I've made some adjustments based on the current status of the UFC. And so far, it's done pretty well. Bet on cheaters, folks. Don't get mad that they're cheating and they get away with it.
Wait. Unless their name is Michael Chandler, because he cheats and loses anyways.
Yeah, exactly. You want to steer clear of Michael Chandler. Patty Batty for the title, 2025, baby. Come on, get that ticket through for me. So I'm not worried about it, honestly. You want to bet on these cheaters that the UFC lets get away with cheating. Jaqueline Amorim is very obviously somebody the UFC wants to push if they can. She is 9-1, 29 years old. And, even though I've got a little bit of resentment in my heart, Dan, because she cost me my ticket with that round 1 submission last time around, I'm going to take the high road. Now, she's still a fraud, Dan. She is absolutely, without a doubt, 1,000% still a fraud. Jaqueline Amorim is round 1 sub or bust to the maximum. I know she's hanging out at ATT, unless they get her on a brand new regimen of vitamins, which they might over at ATT. She does not have cardio beyond round 1. And no, don't anybody look at me and try and talk about her round 3 TKO victory over Montserrat Bunny Rendon Ruiz, whatever her name is. That's the one time she has ever looked even halfway decent beyond the first round. And do you know why? Because Montserrat Ruiz is literally not UFC caliber. She is the smallest and worst fighter on the roster who only looks for headlocks, which is perfect against a jiu-jitsu specialist. That was the one human being that this girl was going to be able to bully around the cage size-wise. The one time she got extended in a UFC fight that was a legitimate UFC fight, my girl Sam Hughes, and she got her ass whooped. So I am not at all shifting from my opinion of what she's good at and what she's bad at. I know exactly what I'm getting here. The thing is, the UFC knows how to matchmake. Polyana Viana is 13-7. She's 32 years old, so she's starting to slip past the end of that prime number, and she's fallen on tough times. She's 1-3 in her last 4, her last 2 by finish. Guess what? Both on the ground. She got choked out by Yasmin Lucindu. She got TKO'd by my girl Jillian Robertson. Now, in my opinion, Jaqueline Amorim, while her pure jiu-jitsu is probably superior, the physicality, the wrestling, the striking, she doesn't have any of those. So the UFC saw what happened in the last 2 fights for Polyana and went, okay, this is a perfect opponent for our grappler extraordinaire to go ahead and get in there and get another round 1 armbar. Polyana Viana's got those long, lanky arms. She's not muscular. So if one of those things get extended, Dan, you know jiu-jitsu, it ain't coming back. You know, people like me who've got these long-ass arms that hang down past your knees, if you get that arm extended in an armbar, there's nothing you can do about it. You got to defend before it gets there. So I think she's ripe to get submitted here in the first round by Jaqueline Amorim. But I will tell you, Polyana Viana has very fast hands, and she hits very hard. Now, she's spending most of her time focusing on her anime cosplay OnlyFans career. So I worry about how dedicated she is to this fight. But Dan, if she plays the floor as lava, if this girl doesn't accept bottom, if she doesn't try to play jiu-jitsu, if she doesn't fish for a neck when Jaqueline Amorim comes in for a leg and tries to hit a takedown, Polyana Viana is going to knock her out. She's not going to go to a decision. Like, she's going to whoop this girl's ass on the feet. So I actually think this is a violence bet spot. I do not believe Jaqueline Amorim is going to have success grappling without finding a submission. And I don't think Polyana can win this fight without clipping this girl and putting her away. So I actually like an under. I don't know what the total is yet because they're not out stateside yet for me. I'm going to say Amorim wins by round 1 sub. But if she doesn't, y'all buttholes are going to be clinched at minus 550. I don't like that number whatsoever on a girl whose cardio I can't trust and whose heart I can't trust either. So again, it would be a dogger pass money line situation for me. God, please, guys, PSA moment of the week. Don't parlay Jaqueline. Don't put minus 550 Amorim in a parlay when she has to hit a round 1 armbar. It might happen. It'll probably happen, but there's so many ways she loses this fight, Dan. I like violence. Give me violence.
Listen, it's hard to give you too much pushback when we're talking about this wide of a line, right? So, like, but that being said, if you're going to talk about Amorim not winning fights past round 1, I mean, Viana's never won a fight that's gone past the 3-minute and 30-second mark of a fight. So, like, it's not like Viana is exactly someone that's going to win some battle of attrition. And Viana is also like a round 1 armbar fighter, but Jaqueline Amorim's jiu-jitsu credentials are on a completely different level. And I don't think she's a quitter, man. I thought that Sam Hughes, have you seen what Sam Hughes does to all these young prospects? And not to mention that was her debut. And also not to mention, wasn't she like, what, 5-0 or 6-0?
Prospect killer, baby.
Like 5-0, 6-0 at the time, man. Like, these are the kind of dues you have to pay. These are the lessons you take along the way. I like what I've seen since then. Yes, Polyana's dangerous, but I agree with you. Since the cosplaying shit and all that, she just hasn't been the same. And I remember online, I don't know exactly what happened, but the fans were crying that they didn't let her wear her cosplay shit to the weigh-ins, and I was like, what's the big deal? And then a bunch of fucking, like, you know, blue and green haired people were in my comments blowing me up, man. And yeah, well, we see how it's panned out.
The nerds, Dan.
We see how it's panned out, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna go Amorim via submission.
Okay. Yeah, we're agreeing there. It's probably Amorim by submission. Moneyline price tag is gross. I want to see Amorim in another fight with another Sam Hughes. I want to see if she's learned. I want to see if she's changed or if she's any better. But the UFC's given her another chick that's more than willing to grapple with her in round 1. So I doubt we see it this week. We'll see what ends up happening. Next fight. You're all here for this moment. Cameron Saaiman welcomes Malcolm Wellmaker to the UFC. That was harder to say than I thought it was going to be. The way those words lined up totally twisted me up here. My guy Dan knows a thing or two about UFC newcomer Malcolm Wellmaker. 8-0 undefeated, 30 years old, coming off of Dana White's Contender Series, making his UFC debut. Cameron Saaiman, a guy that we're very familiar with here on the show, 24 years old, 2-fight losing skid. He's taken a year off since his fight with Peyton Talbot. He's 3-2 in the UFC overall. And 2 of my max bets actually have been against Cameron Saaiman, which, I lean towards, people think I hate the guy or something like that, but I just knew the right time to pull the trigger on fading him. Christian Rodriguez and Peyton Talbot both got one up and over on this guy, but I'm actually a fan of his overall. I love his style. He's training with Dricus du Plessis, and you can see the defensive liability from training with Dricus du Plessis and his style. And it's funny because he almost reminds me more of a Dan Hooker because he doesn't have the bulky size and the durability of a guy like Dricus, right? He's a little bit more lanky. He's a little bit more long. He's got a little more grappling and scramble ability. So he kind of reminds me of like a young little Dan Hooker, which is not a bad thing. I think this kid really has some upside here in the UFC. He's still only 24 years old, like I said, and I think a year off after a loss to a guy like Talbot, that can do you some good. You can see these guys develop a lot in that kind of a window. But welcoming Wellmaker to the UFC. Dan, I'm going to let you talk more about Malcolm because you know more. You've got the contact. He's your boy. So I'm not going to dig in too hard here. But the one thing I want to say about Cameron Saaiman is that he is defensively irresponsible, whereas Wellmaker is hard to touch. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I lean towards Malcolm Wellmaker in this fight. Experience is a big, big deal. Peyton having 5 UFC fights, big deal. That should be something that should give him an edge against most up-and-coming prospects. But what I saw from Malcolm, this guy glides around the cage like you're putting melted butter on a bagel. Like this guy just slides. And if you had someone who was faster than him, if you had someone who was quicker than him on the twitch, he might get caught. You might make him pay because every once in a while he drops his hands. Every once in a while he plays with his hands low a little bit. He's a little cocky. Problem is, is
he cocky or is he slick?
He's both. You can be both. But man, the thing is, you ain't catching him. So it's one of those things where like you see that and you're like, that's a bit of a weakness, but is anyone going to expose it? Like, I don't think any of these guys are as quick as him. Maybe Peyton Talbot. Nobody else is catching him coming off of an exchange like that. So, man, I'm going to let you go, Dan. But I think I like Malcolm Wellmaker this week.
Yeah, listen, man, I got a lot of respect for Cameron Saaiman. The guy is a gamer, and he's so young. I think people forget how young Cameron Saaiman is, like 24 years old. So this is one of these guys that you mentioned how he took a year off, which I'm glad he did because, I mean, yesterday was Easter, and I mean, Cameron Saaiman literally made Peyton Talbot look like the second coming. Like people were typing "He is risen" when Peyton Talbot beat the ever loving shit out of Cameron Saaiman. So I was really happy to see him take a year off, and he's still young. So the thing about that is, fight by fight, you're going to be seeing him growing into his man frame, right? And with that being said, there might be a time, like you mentioned, how he's a little lanky, he's a little skinny, but like one of these days he might just come out here looking like a grown-ass man. Like that's the age we're at, right? When you come into the UFC at 22, now he's approaching 25, right? How's he going to look when he's 26, 27? So I think Cameron Saaiman has a very, very bright future. Not only that, I think Cameron Saaiman is extremely tough. I think he's well-rounded. And my favorite part of Cameron Saimon's game is his kicking game. I think his kicking game is phenomenal. Now, on the other side of things, there's a couple things I don't like. I don't like how hittable Saaiman is. I do respect the take one to give one, all that stuff, but like, don't do that against Malcolm. You know what I'm saying? Like do that against Mana Martinez, do that against Terrence Mitchell, do that against these bums you've been fighting. If someone's gonna be like, Christian Rodriguez is a bum, Peyton Talbot's a bum. No, I didn't say those guys were bums. Okay. So yes, he lost to the better guys he fought, but I mean, the guys he's been beating, again, Mana Martinez, So I'm just saying, man, like Terrence Mitchell. So while people are going to be like, oh, but on Malcolm's regional scene, he was fighting this. He went to a split with that guy. It's like, well, did you watch those fights? For example, let's talk about that Zachariah Kamara fight, which was like 2-3 years ago, right? And they're both listed at 5'11". Dude, this dude was towering over Malcolm. Like this dude was like 6'1", right? And if you watch the fight, how the fuck was that a split? Can someone explain to me how that fight was a split? And that fight is completely irrelevant to this fight because Cameron Saaiman is not a 6 foot tall bantamweight. He's a little bit on the smaller side here. Now, let's talk about Malcolm, because the first time I got exposed to Malcolm, I used to do commentary for the Southeast regional promotion called the NFC, right? And I was doing commentary for a show there, and they told me in advance, hey, only interview the pro fighters, the main event, the co-main event, because you know how some of these fighters get. You get them on the mic, they start screaming, you know, the mic is right here, they're talking over here, you can't hear a fucking word that they say.
That's so true.
So someone just said Dan is obviously biased. Yeah, no shit, I know this motherfucker. What do you think? but let me tell the story. And I gave Cameron Saaiman a lot of credit, didn't I? So I'm gonna call things objectively. So the first time I see Wellmaker fight, right? He's like first or second fight of the night. It's an amateur kickboxing fight. Okay, this dude's got headgear on and big gloves, right? And I knew who his opponent was because he had made a name for himself in the scene, but I had never heard or seen Malcolm Wellmaker before. Malcolm goes out there with headgear and big gloves, and he's getting like wobbles, knockdowns, knockouts, and you do not see that, let alone at bantamweight, 135 pounds. He's doing that with big gloves and headgear as an amateur. So when I saw that, and you remember how I told you the NFC told me only interview the main and the co-main, I was like, fuck that, I'm interviewing this kid right here, right now. And for the longest time on my Bet MMA tips profile, it was a picture of me interviewing Malcolm for the longest time. So right away, he stood out. And since that point, his development has been amazing because he does have the natural tools, right? You were mentioning how slick he is with his footwork. Obviously, the pull counters are there, and he's got a nasty jab. He makes his reads. People complain about his volume, but we got to put context on that. It's not like his opponents are like doubling or tripling him up on volume. He's able to slow the fight down because he presents such danger that his opponents don't want to start throwing with him. They got to be careful too. So the bottom line is I see Cameron Saaiman leaving a lot of openings, and I think that Malcolm Wellmaker is going to time him and is going to get a devastating knockout and is going to introduce himself to the UFC fans as, hey, this is a bright bantamweight prospect to look out for. And I hear some people talking about, oh, he's 30. How can you call him a prospect? Since when is 30 old? Are y'all motherfuckers talking about how this, like, is this guy gonna walk around with a cane now because he's 30 or some shit? Bro, I actually think normally I like the younger guy, but the younger guy here is 24. He's a kid. He's not even got his grown man strength now. And guess what? He's gonna fight a grown man Saturday night. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Let me say, Sean, or whatever this guy's name is, said, does anyone have any concerns about Wellmaker being grappled by bums regional in virtually every single fight? Well, I mean, that's kind of funny considering I've watched every single fight of his, and that's total bullshit. So which fights are you referring to that he got grappled by bums? I'd love to hear. Let me know in the comments, because I watched his whole career, and he does. I mean, anytime he's been taken down, he's popped back up. His takedown defense is ridiculous. Like, I don't understand what this guy's talking about. So
yeah, the get up game is pretty good from what I saw. So I'm not sure either. Sev, hit us in the chat. Let us know if you've got a particular fight we need to go scope out, because I'm not sure what you're referring
Dixon
to
said 30.
I love Dixon here.
Oh, really? So how old is Volkanovski? How old is Volkanovski, the new champ? I believe he turns 37 pretty soon, right? So fake news, Dixon. I love you, but fake news, bro. Fake news. Women are starting to have kids in their 40s these days. 30 is the new 20.
All I know is my knees hurt. I love this fight. I love this spot. I'm really looking forward to this fight, man. And I'm probably going to end up with a bet on Wellmaker. Now, I normally speaking avoid these spots. I don't like laying chalk on these UFC debutants. We've talked about it a bunch. I like to fade these guys coming in off Dana White's Contender Series. But this kid, I already kind of alluded to you guys, this kid reminds me a little bit of Peyton Talbot, the way he moves, the way he flows, how quick he is. And I just think that's something that Cameron Saaiman is not going to make up in one camp. I know it's 1 year. I know he'll be improved. He might look for a grappling angle. And honestly, if he's smart, probably the way to go. But as long as this fight's on the feet, I just think he's going to get out athletic. I think he's not going to be as fast, not going to hit as hard when these two hit. I think Saaiman's going to feel it, and he's going to see some stars the way he has in his last couple of fights. He gets rocked all the time, guys. I talked about this on Cameron Saaiman's way up. He got rocked in every single fight on his way up towards Peyton Talbot, and that's why I told you guys that I was all in on Peyton Talbot by KO that night, because it's just a matter of time. Even if you're young, eventually your chin can't take that anymore. So I kind of like Malcolm Wellmaker to go ahead and get that TKO here in this spot, Dan. I think he's going to do a lot of what Peyton Talbot was able to do. And at minus 120, I'm interested.
How do we say Peyton Talbot in Brazil?
And shout out. That's a
Peyton
great
Talbot.
question. How do you say Peyton Talbot in Brazil?
Peyton Talbot.
There you go. Shout out my guy Ditter here with the $2 dono. Thank you very much. I'm 36 and my knees are starting to hurt. Yeah, I'm right there with you, buddy. I'm 37. The knees are a problem. I'm trying to get my ass back in shape. And I will tell you, Dan, you do a couple of circuits on the heavy bag, and the lungs aren't what they used to be. So you gotta stay on top of it, kids. Make sure you don't lose that shape. It's important.
Getting out of bed's another one, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right. You can pull your neck just standing up in the morning. Wellmaker may have some grappling downside, but Saaiman is a kid and has no fight IQ. And that's kind of what's up. I'm not going to read those grappling downside
based off what? Based off what?
Well, said he may have grappling downside. I'll say
okay,
may.
But based off what? Give me some evidence. This guy brought up the Chase Boutwell fight. Firstly, you have no idea who Chase Boutwell is. Absolute stud. And did he hold Malcolm down? No, he got knocked the fuck out after Malcolm defended all his takedowns. Like, what is this guy talking about, man? And listen, if Cameron wins, all credit to Cameron. I respect Cameron. No one's exempt from that first L, but let's not spread bullshit. Let's just be real about things.
I feel you, man. I feel you. All right, man. That one's exciting. Glad we're going to be about on the same page on that one. It'll be interesting. Can't wait to see if this kid is really all he's cracked up to be, because he could be something special. Next up, you've got Damon Blackshear, and he's taking on Alatang Hailey in a grappler's delight kind of fight. Dan, I'm loving this one. Damon Blackshear, really he's kind of turned my head around coming up these last couple of fights. He has looked absolutely spectacular, especially in his last fight. Big win over Cody Stamann and Cody Gibson back-to-back, taking out the Codys both by finish. The Cody Stamann fight was impressive as hell. You see the evolution of this guy's striking. He's a grappling specialist, and that's kind of what he's been known for in the UFC so far, but he's really learned how to put that height, that reach, that length. He's put it to good use. He hurt Cody badly on the feet before he wrapped up the neck. Getting Kimura on a guy like Cody Gibson, impressive as all get out. That's a hard submission to hit, especially at this level. It speaks to the physicality of this guy. And Alatang Hailey, I'll be honest with you, Dan, I've never been completely sold on Alatang Hailey. He's 33 years old. He's a short, stocky fire hydrant type of fighter. He's an offensive wrestler. He isn't overly dangerous. I mean, this guy's got a big right hand. He's got that wrestle boxing right hand where he'll throw that overhand and hope he hits you with something big. And low-level guys he'll catch with it. He can pound out some low-level people when he gets them on the ground. But overall, I kind of think he's got a limited offensive game. And if he can't bully you physically, then he's going to have a problem. Damon Blackshear is the better striker in this matchup. Maybe Alatang Hailey hits a punch machine harder if you want to go that route, but I would think the creative striking and the different weapons that are brought to the table by Damon Blackshear will make the difference here. And then I'm not sure that Hailey's going to be able to bully Blackshear around the way he needs to. Blackshear is absolutely massive. Now, he is a jiu-jitsu guy, so he probably will give up takedowns. He probably will look to play off of his back, but he's 5 inches taller, Dan, and he's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage. That's a guy that's going to be very hard to control. That's going to be a guy that's very hard to keep down, even if you do get him there. So I think Damon Blackshear is rightfully favored here in this spot. Number's a little wide at minus 450, but I do think Damon Blackshear is the side in this spot. What about you?
Yeah, look, Damon, obviously on paper, should win this fight and should style on this guy. But Damon has let me down before in the past. He's also performed really well in losses, which sometimes people put a little bit too much emphasis and stock into. But I thought he looked great in that Mario Bautista fight. Considering also it was short notice, didn't he twister the other dude the week before? Then he takes that Mario Bautista fight and like 2 weight cuts in 2 weeks, and you fight a hard 3 rounds with, you know, a top 15 guy. So I thought that was impressive. But then there's looks like the his most recent fight against Cody Gibson, the early going, there were some very sketchy moments, you know. But my issue with Haile Alatang is not really an issue. It's just more my assessment is that he's just average, well-rounded, nothing special anywhere, you know. The from a physicality standpoint, just average. From a technical standpoint, just average, but he's not like a bum, right? Like if you do not belong at the UFC level, Haile Alatang is going to go out there and probably 30-27 you, right? But in this match, I do think he has some like you know, a close decision equity possibly, but I also think there's a chance he could. Has he ever been submitted? Not in the UFC, but like maybe back in the day. You know, it's probably been a long ass time since then, right? But yeah, I mean, listen, I don't need to keep talking about what are the odds here? Minus 400. Yeah, I'm gonna go Damon. I'm gonna go Damon. But from time to time, Damon lost to Chris Moutinho, guys. So from time to time, he will let you down. But that being said, I'm gonna pick him to win this fight. Too much physicality, and yeah, should be the difference here.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I'm right there with you. And I like the offensive upside. I think one of these guys is far more dangerous than the other one is. So if there's going to be a finish, obviously it's going to be coming from the Damon side here. And just those big moments, you know, he could be more effective, steal some rounds, even if it does go the distance. So Damon for me as well. Nothing locked in, no money invested yet at this point, but that's the pick. All right, guys, moving along. We got Chris Gutierrez and John Castaneda. And Dan, could we please stop talking about this fight? Could you guys please get your asses to the cage? I thought this was a pretty cool fight when they booked it the first time.
Can John Castaneda get his ass to the cage?
Yeah, please, John, come on now. Like, this is the fourth time, the fourth time we've talked about this damn fight. I'm over it. I am over it. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, you guys, because we have talked about it multiple times already. I will give you the couple of talking points here. Chris Gutierrez, 21, 5, and 2. He's 33 years old. He will be 3 inches taller. John Castaneda, 21 and 7, also 33 years old. He will have a 4-inch reach advantage, even though he is the shorter man in this spot. We all know Chris Gutierrez is the leg kick king, right? This guy's got the leg kick TKOs. He's got decent boxing when you get in close, but he kind of shies away from the fight, and I think that costs him sometimes. It's also very frustrating sometimes when someone's trying to actually get out there and get a win, and he keeps kind of running away from them and playing the distance game. I think we've kind of seen the ceiling of Chris Gutierrez. You know, his style is one that's not overly popular, and I think the judges, you know, catch him on that sometimes. We've seen limits to his physicality, and I just kind of think this is where he's at. The question is whether or not Castaneda is of the level to be able to defeat him. I've talked about Castaneda being not quite so durable sometimes. You know, he's been chin checked a few times, and he just went a hard 15 minutes with Daniel Marcos, so maybe I need to let that go. I've got a lot of respect for Marcos and his power. I think John Castaneda is going to have some upside here in the boxing, especially with that reach. I don't know that he's going to be able to hit any takedowns on Gutierrez. Man, it's a tough fight. It's a close fight. I'm exhausted by talking about it again. I will lean with John Castaneda ever so slightly at plus 110. Dan, I think I've picked a different person to win this fight every time I've talked about it. It's a coin flip, and it's a true coin flip in my opinion. It's not one I see a lot of value on either side as far as betting goes.
So I'm going Chris Gutierrez here. Listen,
okay.
John Castaneda, I describe him as kind of like a, you know, just a meat and potatoes, well-rounded fighter, nothing special, right? Whereas Chris Gutierrez might be a little bit less well-rounded, but he's a specialist, and he's very damn good at his specialty, which is those disgusting leg kicks, which if you pull up the last time that Castaneda fought a serious leg kicker, Nathaniel Wood, I mean, and not just that, because I know that was a long time ago, so people say UFC debut, they'll write it off like it never happened. Go look at John Castaneda's stats in terms of defending leg kicks, non-existent. non-existent. I think his legs are gonna get chewed apart here, man. Not to mention 4 weight cuts in how many months? Yeah. It's not looking good. I'm not that confident because Chris fights at kind of close margins from time to time, and he runs away, and not always the best optics, but I do think his kicking game is going to be a kick and run, win a decision. I'm gonna go Chris Gutierrez.
Okay. Something to make mention of though, Dan, those multiple weight cuts back to back coming in this fight. That is something that could take a toll on a guy who does have a questionable chin. So just something, I'm glad you mentioned that, because just food for thought for anybody out there. If you've got a weakened chin and you have to cut weight over and over and over again, that's definitely something that could have some kind of an effect. Gutierrez is not necessarily the biggest knockout guy unless it's your shins, but you never know. All right, guys.
So real quick, not to just a quick question. So you think Castaneda is a little chinny? Is that what you're telling me?
I've always kind of felt that he was a little bit chinny. Now, again, this was years ago, so maybe it was an underdeveloped younger fighter who was taking shots that maybe he shouldn't have, that led to him getting knocked out.
No, if that's what you think, I respect your opinion. My issue with Castaneda was that, so when I bet Daniel Willie Cat Santos against him, and then I bet on Mu and Gaffarov, lost that one. I felt like Castaneda has a great first round. Then he that second, I don't know what happens to him in the second round, man. He gets hurt in the second round. Sometimes he'll get a second win in the third, sometimes not. But yeah, anyways, we can move on. I was just curious about your opinion, because you're one of the first people I've heard call Castaneda chinny. And the more I think about it, I'm like, wow, I never really thought about it like that. So interesting point.
Man, it's almost like Cameron Saaiman, right? I talked about Peyton Talbot knocking him out, and everyone was like, what the hell are you saying? It's it's the little wobbles, Dan. You know what I mean? It's those little shots where you're like, he lost his equilibrium there for a second. He didn't go all the way out, but I feel like he was close. So yeah, those kinds of things. And it's always just kind of lingered and stuck with me. If we're being fair to the guy, it was Matt Brown that knocked him out the first time. So what are you going to do? Yeah. So I might be over exaggerating a little bit.
Wait. Matt Brown knocked out who?
I thought Matt Brown, wasn't he the guy that knocked out Castaneda first?
Matt Brown's 170.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm mixing up my Matt Browns.
Daniel Willie Cat Santos?
Yeah.
Is that who you're thinking of?
That. No. My bad. So he did get knocked out by a Matt Brown. So
the other Matt Brown.
The
regional Matt Brown. Yeah. Dude, is that guy still fighting?
You know what? I don't think so.
Because he was violent, just like the OG Matt Brown. So I'm glad you brought up that name. He hasn't
fought since 2019. So I got my Matt Browns mixed up. That's on me.
no, that Matt Brown is exciting too. He was just the regional Matt Brown. Yeah, that's funny you brought that up. I'm glad you did.
That's funny. All right, guys, moving along. We've got Evan Elder and Gage Young. Dan, I got a bit of a soft spot for Evan Elder. I like this kid. There's just something about him. He's 9-2, 28 years old, training. I believe he's at Killcliff FC right now. But I really like his grappling game. I like the way that he just kind of refuses to fuck off, and he's very violent. He wants to get in your face. He's all action. Gage Young, 9-2. 24 years old. This guy is coming out of Ignite Jiu-Jitsu Academy, I want to say. He's coming off a loss on Dana White's Contender Series, which that's always something that concerns me. When you get the call up off a loss, that, maybe the UFC sees something that they like. Maybe they're into you because of, factors and stuff like that. Maybe you're excited.
Hey, that fight was a fucking banger with Quinlan Salkeld. That fight was a banger.
It was a banger. So maybe he's earned it, right? But it just doesn't ever sit right with me that if you take the L on Dana White's Contender Series, I'm already just kind of like, I don't know if I want to get near your money line here on this fight. Anyway, he goes back to the regionals. He gets a big round 2 KO win over Eric Grant. And now he's right back in the mix. The UFC got the call up. This should be a really, really fun fight, man. I'm not quite sure what to do with it. I'll be honest with you guys. I need to do a little bit more legwork on this fight before I really can give you a true full formed opinion. This is one of the ones that got a little bit less of my time this week with everything going on. So Evan Elder being the slight favorite, I think is probably correct, but I need to refresh myself on Gage Young.
Bro, let me say this. So I went back and I listened to my Dana White Contender Series breakdown of the Gage Young and Quinlan Salkeld fight. And I literally said, both these guys are UFC ready right now. I was saying stuff like both Quinlan Salkeld and Gage Young could come into the UFC right now and beat a guy like a John Makdessi or something like that. That's how I view them. I think that they're both studs. My issue here, so half issue, half not issue. The half issue is that this is fucking serious short notice. I mean, the shortest of the short notice. But he is from Kansas City. He was already getting ready to train for a fight. I mean, he was training for a fight. And to take it a step further, what are the motherfucking odds? Plus 200 or some shit. So I like Elder. Don't get me wrong. I think Elder is a very well-rounded guy, a guy that came into the UFC young and has been paying his dues, and he should be 3-1 in the UFC. I mean, look, I like Nazim Sadikov, but Evan Elder was up 2-0 in that Sadikov fight, and then the cut. Yes, the cut was gruesome, but it's like, if you're asking me, would Evan Elder have continued? Fuck yeah, he would have continued, man. And he would have either won a 29-28 or a 30-27, depending on how things are. Or maybe Nazim would have actually finished him later on. You just never know. But Evan was on his way to winning that fight. I like the progression. It's just that he's also young. He's also green, right? So there's still going to be little moments here and there, like in that Valdez fight where he got dropped, like in early in the Darius Flowers fight, he got taken down. But this is nitpicking. This is nitpicking because he overcame all those bad spots, right? But the thing about this kid, Gage Young, so the original matchup was Evan Elder versus this complete scumbag, Ahmed Hazard, whatever the fuck his name is. And
that was this fight.
Dude, I thought that Evan Elder, I mean, it's not, I'm not, breaking any ground here talking about a minus 400 in that spot. But I thought Evan Elder was going to get his first UFC knockout there and like possibly a 50K bonus, right? But now I see this more in the direction of being like a 3-round hard fought battle where both these guys are getting after it, takedowns on both sides, big punches landed on both sides. So the way I'm describing it is actually like a dogger pass situation. I'm going to slightly lean towards Elder because he has had the full camp. He does have some UFC fights under his belt, but minus 250 or whatever is a bit steep for me. I do think it's dogger pass, but pure pick, I'll take Elder for a close decision win.
Okay. Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm going to lean with Elder again. I got to refresh with the short notice mix up here, you guys. So I apologize. I'll have more information for you hopefully on Friday and a stronger opinion of it. But always happy to see a guy, especially someone who puts on a show, get their shot in the UFC. Real quick, let's pay a couple of bills, you guys. Shout out Spectation Sports. And unless I am mistaken, the timing could not be any better because I believe Evan Elder is a guy who comes from the Spectation Sports banner. You guys want to get on the train here? Spectation is extending. In fact, we just signed a new organization, Rough, right out of here, my backyard in Arizona. Rough 62 coming up this week. We got Fusion Fight League as well. There's going to be a ton of MMA action, lots of Dana White's Contender Series hopefuls on a lot of these shows coming up. So if you guys want more MMA action to just watch, enjoy, gamble on, or if you're looking to do your research for Dana White's Contender Series the next upcoming season, this is the place where you need to be. Promo code DieHard will get you 20% off when you sign up. Use the link in the description below. Check out Spectation Sports, rising power in regional MMAs. Next up, got a shout out. Bet openly, of course, as always, you guys. Peer-to-peer betting, 1% juice because everybody's getting better numbers. That's how it works. It's a transaction fee. So it's you versus a legitimate degenerate on here. You can put your bet up there and someone else in the world will actually fill that bet. They have saved gamblers over $10 million just using this platform. Instead of laying minus 145, you're getting minus 110 instead. It's a long-term difference maker, money saver. Link in the description below. Get signed up. Check it out. We'll be doing a giveaway contest for UFC Kansas City this week as well. This is UFC Kansas City. You're watching the Die Hard MMA podcast. I'm joined by my guy, Dan, the man, and we are going to be previewing the rest of this card. So you guys make sure you head on over to Half the Battle, show my guys some love and support, and we'll talk some more dirty fight to you here on the rest of this card. Next up, you've got
my boy. Hit up Spectation Sports. Shout out Spectation Sports. I really respect what you guys are doing. Hey, the NFC is no longer on Flow Combat. I believe, don't quote me on it, but I believe they might be free agents. So if you all want the best Southeast regional promotion in mixed martial arts in the United States, get in contact. NFC. Hey. I think they should join your platform. Let's talk.
We might have a little bit of conversation to be had after the show is over, Dan. We can talk.
Shit, Malcolm Wellmaker, former NFC champ. I mean, we produce guys that come into the UFC. Okay.
I was just gonna say though, Dan, it's funny actually because Malcolm Wellmaker was the example I was going to use. I believe his debut, NFC co-promoted with Aries, which is a Spectation Sports brand.
Nice.
So you guys already, Spectation is already like kind of our guy. Like, yeah, we co-promoted a fight with him. He's kind of our boy. Like, so there's already a bit of a foot in the door there where there's been some co-promotion opportunities. So yeah, man, you never know.
Just throw the name in the hat. Throw the name in the hat.
Always got to be networking, man. I appreciate the hustle. Absolutely. Yes, all right, man. Let's get into this next fight here. We got Matt Danger Schnell, and he's taking on Jimmy the Brick Flick. And this, I mean, it's at least a retirement fight, Dan, but is it a double retirement fight? Could this be a double retirement fight? Like, Jimmy Flick already retired and came back when his pockets got turned out. No disrespect. I love Jimmy Flick. But Matt Schnell is on record saying that this is his last fight. He didn't want to go out the way he did. So he's retiring and hanging it up after this one. Matt Schnell, man, this is one of those fights, Dan, where Matt Schnell is miles away the better fighter. Jimmy Flick can hang on the mat. Like, that guy can wrestle. He can scramble. He's got slick submissions. Matt Schnell is one of the highest level scramblers the UFC has seen in this weight division. So I don't want to speak ill of either of these guys. The big difference between the two of them, though, is the chin of Jimmy Flick. Like, I max bet his last opponent, which was very unfortunate, by the way. I anchored Nate Maness when he fought Nate Maness because I thought Nate was going to touch him on the jaw once and it was just going to be over. Nate played it as smart as I've ever seen him play it that night, to the point of being boring, and actually got cut by the UFC afterward because it was such a bad performance. But that's something you're capable of doing. He beat this man with a jab, and Matt Schnell's got one of the best jabs in the game. Man, I really feel like Matt Schnell can hang on the ground. He's probably better there too. He's got more experience, higher level experience. He's always been a higher level fighter than Jimmy Flick at this point. And I think he can win by KO via jab. I'm not joking about that. So I think the hands of Matt Schnell are going to make the difference here in this fight. And retirement fight or not, he's the better fighter in my opinion. You'll never catch me dead laying this kind of a price tag on a guy who's hanging up the gloves as soon as the fight's over, though. Schnell is minus 300. I'm going to say it's Schnell by KO, Matt, but I don't know how much I'm going to be going in on that money line this week, because retiring fighters 1 foot out the door. Crazy stuff happens sometimes. There's no such thing as a happy ending in MMA.
Yeah, my buddy Cody Dern fought both these guys, and you know, he was whooping on Flick, but got caught with a, you know, miracle flying triangle. And then he beat the shit out of Matt Schnell and got a 50K bonus on like 4-day notice. So I asked him his opinion. He's got Schnell. But I was talking to him and I was like, well, you don't think Matt Schnell could do his infamous double tap against Jimmy Flick? You know, Matt Schnell loves that double tap. I don't know what it is against Royval, against Cody, but no, but in all seriousness, I agree with you. I do think Schnell is more skilled across the board. It's just, you know, his chin is a question. His confidence is in question. His willingness to dig deep and, you know, like if Flick attacks some kind of submission, does Schnell still have the heart to try to escape it, or is he going to double tap again? Because like he already retired. He's been knocked dead in devastating fashion. Like even worse than the Flick knockouts. Like the Flick knockouts are more like, okay, I didn't get my submission, so I'm going to cover up, let the ref intervene. Whereas Schnell is like going out cold, smelling salt, stretchers, you know, the whole ordeal, right? So, yeah. And plus, what is this motherfucking price, bro?
Almost minus 300, minus 290.
You know, I mean, like, come on, man. I ain't laying that price on Schnell. And, you know, my boy Dixon bringing up some fake news. Matt Schnell is the only man not to get knocked out by Cody Dern. Yeah, he got hurt and he shot for a shot and got choked out. If he would have never shot, he would have got knocked out. But guess why he shot? Because he got rocked badly. But yeah, man, I'm a lean Schnell just because of the well-rounded ability. But it's like, is it gonna surprise you at all if Matt Schnell, who already retired, who has no chin, who probably has a worse chin than Jimmy Flick, comes out here and gets submitted. I'm not going to be surprised one bit, but man, Jimmy Flick is just not good at putting everything together unless he can get his opportunistic submissions. And if that doesn't happen here, he's losing this fight. I'm a lean Schnell, but I got zero interest in backing either of these guys with my hard-earned money.
Completely agree with you, man. I might talk myself into one last ride with Matt Schnell. Maybe, like, I said PSA, don't parlay a little earlier in the evening. You probably shouldn't go too hard on Matt Schnell parlays, but, I might end up talking myself into a small piece of him at some point because I do think he's just so much the better fighter, retirement or not. Like, he just is levels above as far as putting the full well-rounded game together here. So we'll see. We'll see. Crazy stuff happens.
That's why he's minus 300, though.
People are getting punched and kicked in the face, so you never know what's going to happen in this damn
sport. But where's your value, though? Like,
there isn't any.
The minus 300, that's all baked into the line,
Exactly. And that's what's tough, man. When you do those parlays, there's no value in them. You're just saying, I'm right. I know who's winning this fight. I can see the future. And that does not always work out. All right, guys. Next up, we've got Ikram Aliskerov, and he's taking on André Muniz. What a wild fight. Dan, this is not one that I was prepared for. It really wasn't. Do you guys remember the hype around Ikram Aliskerov? Dan, I mean, we just had meteoric levels of hype around this kid. They thought he was the next Sean O'Malley. Like, they rushed him up to take on a guy like Rob freaking Whittaker after what exactly? This guy knocks out Warley Alves and Phil Hawes, and they're like, he's going to take out Rob, baby. It was one of the most insane buy low moments for Rob Whittaker MMA gambling Twitter has ever come across. Ikram is 15-2, 31 years old. He's 2-1 off Dana White's Contender Series. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking shit. The kid's good. He's very, very good. And he seems like he's got serious power. I mean, even in the Rob fight, Rob did have to respect the offense that was coming back his direction. His face was all red from just a couple of punches. Like, this kid cracks. But we've also never seen him face anybody who can grapple at this level. André Muniz is a scary level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, 24-6. He is 35 years old, so he's getting a little long in the tooth. He's 2-2 in his last 4, and admittedly, Dan, he maybe should be 1-3 in his last 4 instead. I'm a guy who cashed an André Muniz ticket against Jung Young Park, and that fight was dangerously close.
I don't throw around the term robbery that often. Jung Young Park versus André Muniz was a robbery. Don't at me.
Yeah, and I'll tell you how I know that I was probably on the wrong side there, Dan. I was in the movie theater with my best friend watching Godzilla -1 when it came out. If you guys don't know, that's the newest Godzilla movie where he's going back old school Japanese subtitles, black and white and everything. First off, it's freaking epic. If you haven't watched it, give it a shot. Your opinion going in is not what your opinion will be coming out. Phenomenal movie. But I'm like, my phone is on as dim as it possibly can, and I'm still streaming the fights. I'm like covering it with like my jacket so I'm not disturbing anybody else's viewing experience, and I'm like side-eyeing the fights while I'm watching the movie. So I wasn't even paying full attention. And when they raised his hand at the end of it, I was like, what did I miss? It's like he did something that I did not see, because there's no way I just won that fight. Turns out, like you said, Dan, probably a bit of a robbery. But Muniz, you have to respect the grappling. You have to respect his ability to take the back. You have to respect those arm bars. The thing is, I still question his cardio. You know, we talked about that going into the Park fight. A lot of people thought he was going to get pounded out by Park because he wouldn't be able to keep up. And he pulled an Aljamain Sterling type move where he just backpacked the guy, right? He tried to lock on back control and hang on for dear life, extend that gas tank. Don't move too much. Let me sit here for a minute or two and catch my breath. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that against a guy like Ikram. And I don't know if he can take the bombs that are going to be coming his way from Ikram. Now, I fully suspect there's going to be some submission upside here, so maybe Muniz can latch on to something, and Ikram might find a level of jiu-jitsu he's never faced before in this fight. But outside of that, I just think Muniz is going to eat a knuckle sandwich from Ikram at some point in this fight. So I do think it's going to be Ikram. I do think it'll be Ikram by KO, coming off a I've actually got a video planned for you guys on this, so I'm not sure if this is the right term or not, but fraud check, coming off a fraud check, maybe, against a guy who's a contender in this weight class. I don't know if I want to be laying minus 650, Dan. The prediction is Ikram by KO. Violence probably a better option, though, because I think Muniz probably could snap this guy's arm off if he can get it to the ground.
Yeah, I don't have much on this fight, man. Listen, Muniz, when he first came into the UFC, obviously that level of jiu-jitsu, I mean, motherfucker tapped out Jaqueline, okay? That's all that needs to be said, right? But no, that level of jiu-jitsu is so good. It's just that I haven't seen much evolution in Muniz's game. It seems like around the Eric Anders and Uriah Hall fight, that's kind of when he peaked out. And I just haven't seen the same guy since, man. And to, for a guy at his jiu-jitsu level getting tapped out, then getting pounded out, on the mat, his next two fights, I get it. Those guys that he lost to, have very good, grappling abilities, but Muniz on paper is higher credential wise, and just seems like he's slowing down a bit. And then the fact that he won that Jungyoung Park fight was disgusting, guys. Again, like I said earlier, I'm not often one of these guys that cries robbery. I try to really see the perspective of the judges, and if the judges fuck up, of course I'm going to call it out. But this one was egregious. When I watched it back, I was like, oh my God, are you serious right now? So yeah, that was disgusting. And then as far as this is concerned, okay, so I don't think Muniz is going to have any success standing with Ikram. Yeah, Ikram just got knocked out by a fucking real striker. And the only other time that Ikram's been knocked out was by goddamn Khamzat Chimaev. You know what I mean? And sorry for the profanity, guys. I'm just super passionate about the sport, and hopefully it doesn't bother you. But yeah, man, I think that Ikram going to keep it standing, and it's going to knock out Muniz. So yeah, Ikram.
All right. Yeah, you and I are on the same page on that one. I would love to dig into some of these fights a little bit deeper, but honestly, man, I think some of these fights are pretty straightforward this week. So no point in wasting breath on it. Next up, you got Randy Brown, and he's taking on Nicolas Dalby. This is a fight, Dan, where they are just doing everything they possibly can to torture me. You guys know, if you've watched this show more than once and you've seen me talk about either of these guys, you know. I don't get either of these guys right, Dan. I couldn't pick a Randy Brown fight to save my life if my mom's life depended on it, and you said you got to get this Nicolas Dalby fight right. I ain't getting it right. Sorry, Mom. We'll have the flowers you like at the wake. I could not tell you either of these guys. Every single time, I just managed to get it wrong. You've got Randy Brown coming off that split decision loss to Brian Battle, which, to be fair, man, that was a very, very close fight. I feel like Randy Brown is one of these guys who also suffers from letting fights be a little closer than they should be sometimes. So if you get edged out by somebody like a younger Brian Battle, if you lose on a decision because you're backpedaling and you're not throwing a whole bunch and you're not going forward, that's something that can happen to Randy Brown. But you've also got to acknowledge that he can control that space. He can control that range. A lot of people can't touch him. His head movement is so good. And then he's got some underrated jiu-jitsu. He's not the best wrestler in the world, but he can tie up those necks. He's got those long, lanky arms. He can snatch you. He can threaten. He can keep you away with that kind of stuff. So Randy Brown is one of these guys who I think we've seen that he's gatekeeper-esque at this point, but he's a damn good one. I don't think he's ever going to hold gold, right? I think we're probably going to see the downtrend toward him here sooner than later at 34 years old, but he's going to turn back a couple of these prospects. Now, Nicolas Dalby is a very similar situation, 23-5-1. He's 40 years old. He doesn't look anything like 40 years old, though, Dan. That Rinat Fakhretdinov fight, that's what I'm talking about. I've bet against Nicolas Dalby so many times thinking this is the one. He just doesn't impress me. He doesn't do enough. He's well-rounded, but he's not exceptional anywhere. And he keeps finding ways to win. And then I go, you know what? Rinat Fakhretdinov is a gassy, fraudulent bum. I'm going to go ahead and take the shot. And they robbed my guy blind. We don't use the term robbery often, Dan, but Nicolas Dalby got robbed against Rinat Fakhretdinov.
Carlos Leal got robbed. Nick Dalby didn't get robbed.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. But anyway, I will die on the hill. He should have won that fight that night. At any rate, that's just my luck with these two guys. I can give you the X's and O's. I can tell you what they're good at and they're bad at. But if I tell you they're going to win or lose on Saturday, I will be wrong. Now, the fact that they're facing each other, I got a 50-50 shot here, but it's still probably something that's just not going to go my way. Dan, I'm going to say Randy Brown edges this one out. I'm going to say he comes out here vengeful and angry after that split decision loss that he suffered. And I just think he'll be able to control the space and Nick Dalby won't be able to get in and close the distance. So I will say Randy Brown, and I think it's going to be Randy Brown by decision. I'll bet you it'll be another close and competitive fight. I don't think he's going to finish Nick Dalby, but I do think he gets his hand raised. So again, price tag a little too wide for me, but I will pick Randy Brown.
I will give Randy Brown some credit for his improvements in his offensive wrestling. Look at that last fight against Battle. Dude, that first round, Randy Brown looked amazing against Bryan Battle. I mean, establishing his jab, ripping to the body lock takedowns. I'm like, God damn, Randy, he looked incredible that first round. Now, guys, a lot of people have different definitions of what a weight bully is, right? They say someone that's big for the weight class, automatically that's a weight bully. I disagree. Let me tell you what I think a weight bully is. I think Bryan Battle is a weight bully. When you come in 175 pounds for an 170-pound fight and your strategy is to lean on the guy and use that extra weight, that was blatant cheating. And I'm still not convinced Bryan Battle won that fight. I thought he won the second round. Third round, I thought maybe could have gone to Randy. I mean, Randy did land the better shots in round 3. It's just, do you count that or do you count the duration against the fence where nothing happened, right? But that was blatant. That is weight bullying, what Bryan Battle did. I don't want to hear any bullshit about guys that make weight, but they're big for the weight class being called weight bullies. Fuck that. Bryan Battle, 175 pounds, that is a weight bully. And, Randy got screwed, but now I think the UFC are kind of like, we thought you won. Everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people thought you won. And more importantly than if you thought he won or you lost or whatever the case may be, like, dude, he got fucking screwed over is the more important thing, right? That was just not fair what happened. But now against Dalby, like, you're right, man. Dalby's one of these guys, and I feel like people don't give credit to the transformation Dalby has had, because Dalby's always been solid, but Dalby had a massive physique transformation. Because I've been watching this guy since he first came into the UFC. I remember when guys like Peter Sabata and Zach Cummings were dropping him. I remember the Darren Till fight where Darren Till put a clinic on him for 2 rounds, gasses out, and then Dalby, he's known for those big third rounds, like you mentioned, against Renat. Third round, he 10-8s Darren Till. He gets a draw, right? And the pace of Dalby is what needs to be looked out for. Because with Dalby, it's not about like, oh, it's his wrestling, oh, it's his striking, oh, it's his power. No, it's his pace and his relentlessness that you got to look out for. So, Clint, if I had to ask you a piece of trivia, what do you think the one thing Randy Brown needs to be on top of his game here, in terms of the training camp? Well, like, what do you think he should have put the most emphasis and focus on for this fight, in your opinion? Just off the top of your head, you can say pass. What do you think?
What do I think he put the most emphasis on?
Randy Brown. Yeah. What do you think he put the most emphasis on?
I mean, I would probably say striking coming into this fight.
Oh yeah. I meant not from a technical aspect. So what I meant was conditioning. I believe that Randy Brown, if he wants to win this fight, I think he needs to step. I hope in the training camp, he stepped up his conditioning for this one, because that's the place where I could see things going wrong. Where at first, when they first start off, Dalby has a history of getting dropped early in a lot of fights, as recently as his last fight against Renat Fakhretdinov, which people don't remember for whatever reason. And I will concede that I thought maybe Dalby won the 3rd round of that fight, but I thought for sure Fakhretdinov won the first 2 rounds. Now the Leal fight, that's a separate discussion. Yeah. But the Dalby and Renat fight, I had the first 2 for Renat, and Renat dropped Dalby. I think that the first round, Randy Brown's going to put a clinic on Dalby, possibly drop him, possibly be the first to get him out of there. I mean, the guy's been dropped plenty, so it's not going to surprise me now that he's reaching 40 years old, he finally gets finished. But what I'm worried about is if Randy starts getting a little lackadaisical, starts getting pinned up against the fence, and now we're kind of losing minutes a little bit, and Dalby kind of sneaks it out at the end. That's what I'd be worried about. But besides that, I think who has the upside to put on a clinic, who has the upside for a finish, that's Randy. Who has the upside for a close, kind of greasy, edge it out, possibly win controversially, Dalby. So I'm gonna go with Randy, man. I think he's got more dominance upside. And from time to time, he's gonna surprise you. Like, because he's one of these guys that came into the UFC super early and had to learn on the job, right? And from time to time, we're seeing these little glimpses of brilliance, like in that Muslim Salikov fight, like in that first round against Brian Battle. And I hope to see more of that here against Dalby. And I'm gonna go Randy Brown for the dub.
Okay. All right. Well, we are lining up on this one. You've got a little bit more confidence there than I do, but I like it. Shout out my guy, Razor Sharp Picks. What are you doing in here, my guy? $10 dono. Thank you so much, my friend. You do not need to do that. I tell you guys about Razor Sharp practically every single week. This guy's all over my Twitter page. If you guys need a gambler, a high-level person who's going to lock up those wins, you should see the run my guy is on right now in MLB. And he's the only guy I trust in the NBA playoffs. He is a legitimate long-term winner. You guys can just check his track record. He posts up regular recaps on social media, and he's worth it, you guys. Like I said, he does pretty much everything out there. Actually, you know, Razor, sneaky little bastard, he's on a good run in MMA too. So you're trying to steal my gig over here, my guy. He's much more selective with the shots he takes, but he's got plays almost every single day. So make sure you guys check out Razor Sharp Picks. Appreciate the guy. Speaking of Sharp, shout out my guy Pepe Silva in the chat. What's going on, buddy? Thank you very much for hanging out and watching the show, my friend. Next up, we've got Michel Pereira, and he's taking on Abus Magomedov. This is a fun fight, Dan. This is a banger right here. I like what I've seen recently from Michel Pereira. And I gotta just jump on this right out the gates here. People asked me early on who wins this fight. People wanted, last week, we talked about this one a little bit, you know, no research, no time spent, no nothing. And they were just, Clint, who wins this fight? And I said, I think I lean to Michel Pereira. And the very first thing that came back at me was people are like, yeah, but he gassed out in his last fight in like round 2. He got tired in like round 2. And that worries me. I think people are forgetting that he was facing Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, Dan. Like, okay, so you got tired taking on the biggest cardio pusher in the UFC? Like, and it took him until the 5th round to actually get this man out of there. It's not like he was overly effective the deeper that fight went. But if you have somebody completely gassed and tired, they're donezo, but you can't finish them until round 5. Like, the fact that he even made it to round 5 against somebody like Fluffy is impressive. Okay. And the other thing to note, Abus Magomedov, this guy is not a cardio freak. Okay. 34 years old. Do you guys not remember the Sean Strickland fight? Like, his last couple of fights, he's gone a little bit longer. We got to give him credit where it's due, right? He's made some adjustments, and he went to decision with Kaio. I feel like Kaio kind of carried him there in that spot, though. Kaio's a decision machine himself. And yes, he got a round 3 finish over Bruno, but Dan, I still am just not sold on Bruno. I still think that Bruno is a little bit of, I don't know if fraud's the right word. He's an exciting fighter. He's going to be a low-level guy that has finishes and gets finished and stuff like that, but he's not
Bruno Hulk. Bruno Hulk.
Yeah, the Hulk, Bruno. He's not a guy that I'm not writing home about his cardio, right? We're not singing songs about that guy's cardio. So the fact that Abus was able to get on top of him, be the guy who was just a little less tired in round 3 and then got that finish, like, that just doesn't mean anything to me. He is not going to be able to push a cardio pace on a guy like Michel Pereira, in my opinion. Even if he comes out here and tries to make Michel grapple, he is not Fluffy Hernandez. He's not going to have the transitions. He's not going to be able to put Michel in the same kind of bad positions. He'll be hanging on for dear life, going physicality for physicality, muscle for muscle. And in that fight, I think Pereira wins. I do think Abus does have the ability to knock this guy out on the feet. I think Abus can knock anybody out in round 1, Dan. The guy has fast twitch muscle. He hits very, very hard. I can absolutely see him cracking anybody and getting the job done early, but that's not something we've really seen happen too often against Michel Pereira, right? I think he's been knocked out once his entire career before the 5th round TKO that we were just talking about. So I'm not really sweating that too much. I think Pereira is going to be the guy who's got better movement, better footwork, and then I do think that he will be able to be more effective the deeper this fight goes. So I kind of like Michel Pereira to win this fight at a very, very short favorite price tag here. Minus 135. A lot of steam has come in on Abus Magomedov, and I'm just not seeing it.
No, I understand. This is one I still need to look into a little more. I mean, don't get me wrong. I put in some work on it, but I'm still kind of, there's like so many dynamics about it that are tricky for me. You know, I'm not holding against Michel's last fight. You know, I mean, come on, Fluffy, dude. What guy, like, when you do the Marab and the Fluffy and you attempt fucking 29 to 50 takedown attempts in a fight, like, come on, man. But the question is he morally defeated and now he, you know, fuck, my title aspirations are gone? Or is he like, okay, now I know what I need to work on. I need to lock in, go back to the drawing board, come back and go on another run? Because he was on a great little streak there, man. And I really felt like the power was translating at 85s. No more, I mean, he's still cutting weight, but no more brutal cuts. Like, remember the whole debacle with Wonder Boy when Wonder Boy was scared to fight him because he missed weight by 3 pounds and turned it down, you know, something that a bunch of other fighters wouldn't do. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. But, like, it's just about, where's Michel at? Has he recovered mentally from the fucking absolute, you know, demoralizing loss against Fluffy? The thing about Abus will try takedowns, not 100 takedowns, but, you know, a few here and there. And he has, I believe, landed 10 takedowns in his last 2 fights. So that'll behoove him here. But Abus has some suspect.
Good use of the word behoove.
Good use.
I appreciate a good behoove.
My boy, I appreciate you, fam. Yeah, one thing I do like about Abus is I think he's getting a little more comfortable in there. You know, came into the UFC, had to fight some really, really tough dudes. I mean, Sean Strickland, Kyle Ohio. Now, granted, I thought the looks were awful. I mean, those were some terrible looks, but those were some also really high level competition. But even take away those 2 guys, right? A former champion in Strickland, a possible future champ in Ohio. There's been sketchy moments in other fights, man. I mean, did you see what my boy Lewis Taylor did to him? Not granted, Lewis Taylor, also a world champion, former D1 wrestler, insane one-punch KO power. So maybe don't hold that against him. And then Bruno Hulk Pereira is also very, very dangerous. So there were some suspect moments in that fight too. He overcame them. So I like the fact that now he's overcoming adversity. He's starting to feel comfortable in there. But Michel, man, he's got some crazy attributes about him. Obviously, you know, the backflips and all that, but, like, dude, that stabbing front kick is fucking serious, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really not sure. And often in cases like that, I think it's dog or pass. But I do think that with Abus not pushing the same kind of pace as Fluffy, that it might be manageable for Pereira to, you know, stuff, get back up from bottom, and from there work his game. But I just can't confidently say it. I'm going to lean with Pereira, but as of right now, which is what, Monday at 8:56 p.m. Eastern time, I'm passing. But maybe by the time I get to half the battle on Wednesday, I'll have a stronger opinion. But as of right now, I'm going to take Michel Pereira as a pure pick and pass on a bet.
Okay. Yeah, I like Michel Pereira as well, and I am tempted to take a stab at that bet as well. The lower this price crashes, I know I'm doing that thing where I stand in front of the market and smarter people than me are out there moving it. I think Pereira wins this fight. And if we get down to a pick 'em, man, I might have to jump in.
I mean, even the smartest guys have been wrong plenty of times. So who cares, you know?
That's true.
Do you trust your balls, son? Always
trust your balls, Dan. That's what's up. All right, guys, moving along. We've got Giga Chikadze and David Onama. We talked a little bit about our guy David Onama a little earlier in the evening. Dan, I think it's safe to say that this kid is a freak athlete. Like, I love David Onama. He is so fast. He's durable. He hits like a freaking truck. His grappling has come a long way. He's got chin checked. His recoverability, we talked about that in his last fight. He got caught in round 1. He practically got turned into Benny Dariush. You remember when Alexander Hernandez made his UFC debut and everyone thought that he was something because he cracked Benny in round 1 that way? We almost had a situation like that happen, but David said, nah, not me. And he worked his way back into that fight, damn near finished the guy in the 3rd round. I mean, I love David Onama, 13-2, 30 years old, in his prime, and he's got every single box checked for me. Giga Chikadze, 36 years old, he's 15-4, and honestly, he's another guy, Dan, that I've never really had a good read on. You know, he's a high-level kickboxer turned MMA fighter. We all know about the Giga kick, right? The way he sets it up, the way he controls the range and he moves. I just don't feel like he ever got the full grip on being an MMA fighter, you know, mixing the arts, doing everything in there. I feel like that's when he gets kind of not dusted, but he gets left behind a little bit, and now he's getting older. Giga's 36 years old now, and this just feels like a changing of the guard type of fight to me. It feels like a test for David Onama, and Dan, I think he can pass it. So I like David Onama here this week.
Yeah, I think he can pass it too, but I do have a few concerns. First concern, 52% strike defense, 5 strikes absorbed per minute. Not the kind of stuff I want against Giga Chikadze, But that being said, man, Giga has not been the same since the Calvin Kattar fight, just like Calvin Kattar has not been the same since the Max Holloway fight. That's just the bottom line, and Giga was running so hot. He was on this win streak. It seemed like if he beats Kattar, it's either a title shot against Volk or one win away from a title shot, right? And that was such a beatdown that we didn't hear from him for a while. This guy's had so many surgeries. He's come back. I don't think he's looked he's still solid, technical, all that stuff. I just haven't seen that fire, that enthusiasm, that umph that I used to see from Giga, when he was hungry. And with Onama, he does have, he's a vet at this point, but he's a young vet and he's still developing. Like one thing that DC pointed out in his last fight against Romero that I really respected and admired was that the calmness of David Onama, and that's come with the experience. So even though he's going through these bad spots, getting dropped by that kid Romero, and he's had to overcome a lot of bad spots throughout his career, I feel like back to that Mason Jones fight where he was getting like full mounted, it was just a crazy back and forth fight. Those kind of fights prepared him for something like this, where here he might have to eat a big liver kick. He might have to overcome some hard stuff. And if he can extend this fight, like I said, Giga is historically a big time gasser. Doesn't matter if it was early in his career, in his prime, now post prime, Giga is a gasser. I don't know if it's because he throws 100% into every kick, and kicking is very taxing, way more taxing than punching. And let me tell you that. And this guy's primarily a kicker. I don't know if that's the deal. I don't know. I noticed in the Kattar fight, it was kind of even until Kattar had a nasty takedown where he pushes. I'm not saying pins up Giga against the fence. I'm saying he pushes him against the fence, uses the momentum of Giga coming back, puts him on the ground. And after that exchange, Giga was never the same again in that fight. He was gassed out from one grappling exchange. So I think the early going is going to be sketchy. I think that the early going, Giga is going to be landing big kicks on Onama. It's going to be like, oh shit, Giga might be live here, but Giga is going to slow down like he always does. And I see Onama taking over from there. And if Onama can possibly get some takedowns here, that has historically been shown to drain that gas tank of Giga. So if he can do that, it's just about like, how easy do you want to make this? Like, are we taking the path of least resistance? Or are we going to do a typical David Onama absolute, dogfight? Like what are we getting into here? And I have to ask these questions when the price on David, minus 150, is that what it? Oh, minus 190. Goddamn.
Yeah, moved up a little bit.
Just to put this in perspective, okay? I laid minus 150 on Onama against Gabriel Benitez. At the lay, minus 190 against a way better fighter. So I'm passing.
Don't you hate when that happens?
Yeah, I'm passing at these odds, but I'm going to pick Onama, pure pick.
Okay. Fair enough. Hey, you and I are on the same side on this one yet again. I like Onama as well. That number is getting a little bit up there, but I believe in the youth movement. Shout out my guy VB tuning into the show. What's going on, my guy? Hope you're doing well. And I do completely agree with Dream here, saying it's so annoying when people point to the ground now. Max Holloway did one of the coolest damn things we've ever seen in the sport of MMA, and they ruined it, Dan. They've absolutely ruined. Now every single fight, it drives me nuts. Someone points to the ground and they don't got the right opponent, and then they run. Or like the worst is when you're the one doing the pointing and then you start skipping. It's like you should be arrested.
Like Leon Edwards against Cerrone.
Like Leon Edwards, you should be arrested. I'm not even talking about getting cut from the UFC. Jail immediately. Like, you take something sacred like that and then you ruin it. Get out of here. I'm with you, Dream. They've
and let me say this. Let me say this on Dream as well. Great comment, bro. Here's my thing with it. like I'm agreeing with you and Clint. Like when these guys point to the ground and then one guy runs away or one guy shoots for a takedown or they start like sticking their tongues out, but they don't actually throw at each other. That shit fucking drives me crazy. But if someone actually comes out there and does what Max Holloway does, points to the ground and the other guy obliges and they start swinging, it doesn't have to be Max Holloway. I'll be cool with it. But I agree with y'all. All these other dudes have been doing lame ass shit. Like fucking Leon Edwards doing it against Cerrone and then running away. Like what? Like, come on, bro. Like what a disgrace to Max Holloway, the legend. And did you see the clip of Max Holloway getting a hero's welcome in Korea? Welcomed by the Korean Zombie, gave him flowers, signed autographs for all the fans, man. Two legends. You love to see it, brother.
Yep, that was super cool. That was awesome. Love those guys. And that's, man, you just, as if I needed another reason to hate on Leon Edwards. Get out of here with that shit. All right, guys. We got 2 fights left. Yeah, exactly. We got 2 fights left. My twin, it's over. Dan, the joke has run its course. They will never talk about me and Anthony Smith looking like each other ever again. He takes on Mingyang Zhang on Saturday, and this is it. My boy is hanging it up. And let's be real, it's time. It's probably been time for a while here. So, I love Anthony Smith. He was a greasy, mangy underdog. I've made some money on him in the right spots. I will never forget hitting the submission on Vitor Petrino prop bet at 14-1, like, because people just pronounce the guy dead and he's got some legitimate skills. Every once in a while, he whips them out and catches people with their pants down. That could happen on Saturday. So don't get it twisted. Anthony Smith still has a very good jab. He's got a very good right hand. The dude likes to get into a fist fight, and his jiu-jitsu really is where he shines. The problem is you can put this guy on his back, and there's not a damn thing he can do about it, Dan. He's a turtle. Once you put him on his back, he's not going anywhere. He has no get-up game. He has no takedown defense. None of it. Now, Mingyang Zhang is not the kind of fighter who's going to come out here and try and put you on your back. That's the thing. In this fight, this guy is a crazy wild man who's going to windmill punches and run forward and try and punch you in the face until one of you falls over. He's only 26 years old. He's been knocked out already himself 3 times. He's been submitted twice. So one thing I want to get the record straight on this one is people are acting like this kid is some kind of bulletproof, fighting machine. He's minus 500 here, Dan. I think that's damn near disrespectful. This guy is so reckless. Does he come out here and knock off Anthony Smith's head in round 1? I mean, yeah, probably. But it's just like Jaqueline Amorim all over again that we talked about earlier on the card. What happens next? Like, if this guy doesn't get Anthony Smith with the first big haymaker he throws, he is not made out of granite. He's been finished 5 times on a worse level than he's competing right now. So is he younger? Yes. Does he hit harder? Yes. But if he doesn't finish Anthony Smith in the first round, he could be in for a world of hurt in this fight. Violence, baby, violence. Give me a finish in this fight. Anthony Smith, knowing this is the last time, leave it all out there. Does he jump on a neck and catch a sub in this fight? It's possible. I want to see a number. It's probably Mingyang Zhang by round 1 knockout, Dan. It really probably is. But if this fight hits round 2, all of a sudden I've got some interest because I don't know what this guy looks like grappling in round 2.
You mentioned how Mingyang Zhang's been finished, 5-6 times. Guess how many times my boy Lionheart's been finished off the top of your head?
More fights than he's got Zhang's professional wins. I'm going to say 16 fights.
16 stoppage losses, 11 KOs, 5 submissions. So, here's my thing about Mingyang Zhang. Obviously, I think that he is a very bright prospect, and he's probably the best male Chinese fighter in the upper weight classes. Like, I'm not talking about like Song Yadong, who's probably like a fight or 2 away from a title fight, but I'm saying like of the big boys, he's got to be the best Asian prospect big boy we've had in a long time. Like, I know my boy Dawoon Jung was on a nice little win streak, but he was never the same after that Dustin Jacoby fight. But right now, what they're doing with Mingyang Zhang is, he came onto the road to UFC, right? And he fought this Tuco Tokos guy or whatever. Dude, guess what the odds were? Don't look it up. Just take a guess.
I just watched that fight. I didn't look at the odds, though. I want to say it was close to a pick'em, wasn't it?
No. Mingyang Zhang was like a plus 450 to plus 500 underdog.
Oh my God. Was he really?
Yeah. And then he fucking killed the guy. Right. So,
yeah.
So he kills the guy and they're like, oh yeah, we're bringing this kid in. So They do the Brengerson Ribeiro, the Ozzy Diaz runs through them, no problem. So yeah, this is a fucking massive step up in competition, of course. However, he's catching him at a perfect time. And I also like that Mingyang Zhang's gotten out his comfort zone. He's training in Vegas. He's sparring with guys like Sean Strickland like every day. So he's getting the right looks and he wants it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's going to be a setback for Mingyang Zhang along the way. And let me say this, Anthony Smith did set back a hot prospect only a year ago, Vitor Petrina. Yep. So from like time to time, like, a little stunt here and there, no one's exempt. So like, if I wake up on Sunday and I heard that Anthony Smith guillotined them or had some kind of opportunistic finish, like, am I going to act shocked? No. But ultimately what I think is going to happen is the big favorite's going to come through. And I don't like the reactions from Smith when he gets hit. Like you said, the turtle game, bro, as someone who trains jiu-jitsu regularly and actually is fond of the turtle game, I fucking hate Anthony Smith's turtle game. Oh my God. So I just think he's become a walking punching bag. Now, did you hear the interview? Now he's talking about he wants to open up a local slap league. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh
bro.
My God.
Yeah. I'm going Mingyang Zhang to retire this man. The funny thing, I think someone pointed out that like Mingyang Zhang's wins are all first round knockouts. And it's been a long ass time since Anthony Smith's been finishing the first, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. That could change, or Mingyang Zhang doesn't have to finish him in the first. He can finish him later on. Like, I'm just saying. So yeah, I'm gonna go Mingyang Zhang, but at this price, I'm not interested.
I'm with you, man. Completely agree. I wish I could go one last ride with my guy, Anthony Smith. The only way I could potentially get there is with the sub prop. But yeah, it's probably going to be over relatively quickly on this one, you guys. Hopefully it's a fun fight to watch, man. Some of these guys come out timid for their retirement fights. They don't want to go out on their shield one last time. I got to feel like Anthony Smith is maybe the opposite here. He's probably going to want to go for it and go get that win. So hopefully it's at least a fun watch for this last one here. All right, guys, main event of the evening. Ian Machado Garry takes on Carlos Prates. What a fight we've got here, man. A couple of prospects, a couple guys that could be challenging for the title here in this weight class in the very near future. Ian Garry, everybody's favorite guy to hate in this weight class, a guy that I've done very well backing because he's always very reasonably priced because everybody wants to line up to bet against him. This guy knows how to find a way to win, and he actually fought very, very well with Shavkat Rakhmonov in his last fight. And damn, I put a tweet out earlier this week, Dan, the amount of money I've lost playing these sub props on Ian Machado Garry, it's infuriating because he's this close every single time. He had I beat the market by a mile and had 10-1 on him to win by sub against Michael Venom Page. He's got back control for 2 full rounds, sunk under the neck on a rear naked choke, and still couldn't finish. Charles Oliveira should be ashamed for teaching this man how to grapple. You got to get that one done for me, buddy. I'm done. I'm broke. I'm tapped out. I'm not going back to it. I can't keep wasting my money. And if he does it this week, I'm going to be mad, Dan. I love Ian Machado Garry's game from a betting perspective. It's not the most exciting thing in the world to watch. He's very elusive. He's very defensive. He's very try to hit you where you can't hit me. And when he finds he's got that area where he can abuse you, like the grappling, like he did against MVP, where he was a little outgunned on the feet, he takes it. He's a very smart, cerebral fighter. That's a guy I like to trust with my money. Carlos Prates on the other side of this is the exact opposite. They call this guy the nightmare. 21-6, a late bloomer. You know, one of these guys that got in there and went to war and got finished a bunch of times very early and seems to have figured it out. You know, the fighting nerds rule the world as of right now. He's undefeated off the Contender Series, 4 straight TKO wins. And man, I think back to his UFC debut when I bet Trevin Giles against this guy. That was in the Dana White's Contender Series fade heyday. And I was on to something, Dan. Trevin Giles looked like a minus 300 favorite in that fight. Like he was schooling Carlos Prates. And then he got caught with one shot. There are certain people in this game that turn the entire fight on its head with one strike. And this guy is like Francis Ngannou. When he connects, if you let him hit you cleanly, there's different power in the hands of Carlos Prates. The knee he hit Chuck Buffalo with, they sacrificed poor Leach to this guy and Neil Magny for that matter. Don't get it twisted though, Dan. I think this is actually a step up in competition because while we love the Leach, he's a middle of the road kind of guy. Neil Magny, while he was at one point elite, he really relied on his grappling and his cardio, and he's much, much older at this point. He is a shell of what he used to be. Ian Machado Garry in his prime is a real contender type of fight, and that's something Carlos Prates has not faced at this level yet. We've got near coin flip price tags here, minus 135 on Ian Garry, plus 110, plus 115 on Carlos Prates. And from a gambling and market perspective, Dan, I got to tell you, when the fan favorite, when the guy who's just cruising through everybody, when the guy who can't do anything but win by round 1 KO, when they get a small step up in competition and the bookies go, here's a little bit of plus money for you. Like, that always makes me just smell like it's a bit of a trap. They want everyone, the public, to roll on in, snatch up that plus money, and they're fine having just a little bit of a favorite tag on the other guy that's a little less popular, the guy that people want to see lose. So, given my own read of the fight, I think Ian Garry can do exactly what Trevin Giles did, just a little bit better. I've lost a lot of money trying to fade Carlos Prates, and I might have to do it again on Saturday, Dan. If he catches and connects on Ian Garry and puts him out, it just ain't meant to be. I'll just fold it up, and I'll never bet a Carlos Prates fight ever again. For me, it's Ian Machado Garry or pass. I think it's probably, oh man, this is a 5-round fight. You know, I got to worry about that smoker cardio. I was going to say it's a decision for Ian Garry, but the deeper this fight gets, if Carlos Prates is punching darts between rounds over there like he likes to do, I don't know if he can go 25 minutes. So maybe it's a late finish for Ian Garry, man. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fake news, bro. The cigarettes aren't going to matter until he's like 50 or 60, bro. Right? Come on, man. Like, not only that, this guy has over 100 Muay Thai and kickboxing fights. This guy's got insane experience. He's been 5 rounds before. And, you know, remember Garry pointing out, posting that video of Carlos allegedly quitting in one of those fights, you know, where he was retreating to hooks. I think it was like some kind of injury, TKO, and it was a bad look. Dude, that was like before Ian Garry had even had his first amateur fight. You know what I'm saying? The difference in experience here, I disagree. I think Ian Garry's taking up a step up in competition. Yeah, maybe UFC name-wise, Ian Garry's fought bigger names, but just fight experience, Carlos has over 100 over 100 martial arts fights. And like, for example, we talk about stuff like, you know, contender series guys coming into the UFC at 5-0, 6-0. Ian Garry wasn't a contender series guy, but he came into the UFC at 5-0, 6-0. Bro, I was about to say Carlos Condit. Carlos Prates came into the UFC at 18-6. So big difference. One guy paid his dues for real outside the UFC. 18-6, okay? And that's not including the 100+ Muay Thai fights. Whereas this dude Garry came to the UFC 5-0, whatever, you know, ran through a couple bums early on. Well, I say ran through. You want to talk about that Trevin Giles fight? How about we talk about that Jordan Williams fight? What happened in Ian Garry's debut when he was getting pieced up by a dude who went like 0-3 in the company, bro? And not only that, people are going to be like, oh, but that was 3 years ago. Okay, what about the Jeff Neal fight? What happens every time Ian Garry exits an exchange? His hands drop, his chin lifts, and most importantly, he backs straight up. He doesn't cut an angle, and I promise you, at some point, Carlos is going to make that read, and it's going to be an extended combination. I don't think it's just going to be a 1. I don't think it's going to be a 2. I think it's going to be an extended combination that puts Ian Garry down. And not only that, people are talking about some grappling upside from Ian Garry. What? Because he almost tapped out MVP. Hey, what belt in jiu-jitsu is MVP? A blue belt? Like no, seriously, what belt in jiu-jitsu is MVP?
No
Someone
idea.
tell me. A blue
Doubt
belt?
he's got one.
Okay. Carlos Prates has been a black belt in jiu-jitsu for like over 10 years. And I think people have a big misconception about how Carlos Prates' ground game is. Let's go back to Carlos Prates' last loss against the Russian, right? This was pre-COVID. This is 2019, okay? So the first 2 rounds, he gets taken down. You know, he doesn't take any damage. He recomposes his guard. But by the time that 3rd round comes through, everybody talking about their this cigarette cardio and whatnot. By the time the third round comes through, after 2 rounds of heavy grappling, it's Carlos Prates that's getting the sweeps. It's Carlos Prates that's full mounting and back mounting this Russian. And had there been 2 more rounds, Carlos Prates would have went out there and won that fight. I think he is a 5-round fighter. I think this guy is special. And I think that he brings a couple similar things that Ian does. Like, like if you watch that Jeff Neal fight, Ian had a lot of nice step through knees, some nice 1-2s. Guess what? Carlos has better knees. Carlos has better 1-2s. And I'm going to go ahead and say this because I know people disagree because they saw, he almost choked out a blue belt in MVP. Shavkat, he did whatever he wanted for 4 straight rounds. Then Ian had one moment in the 5th and everyone's blowing it out of proportion, just like they did with Steve Erceg. Steve Erceg wins a round against Pantoja. Now I'm going to pick him against Moreno and Kaikar of France, like Jonah Hill. Cut, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't buy any of this bullshit. I would not be surprised if Carlos Prates had a better ground game than Ian Garry, but I don't really think it's going to hit the ground, man. One last thing, Carlos Prates takedown defense ever since that fight with the Russian. Have you seen the improvements? Like, dude, he is tough to take down. I think he's going to come out here and starch the cuck Ian Garry, and we're going to continue the trend of taking out the trash. Now, guys,
hashtag starch the cuck, get it trending.
I like you guys know I like to joke around. So please, right now, what I'm about to say, don't take it too far. Okay. But listen, the UFC's been on taking the trash out tour. We got rid of Bryce Mitchell. We got rid of Ahmed Hazanzada, whatever the fuck. Now, on a much lower scale, because Ian Garry is not, disgusting like those guys, but have you guys ever heard him talk? Oh my God, I can't get past 2 minutes of an interview with him. Are we going to take out the trash Saturday? I think it's going to be bad for the sport if Ian Garry wins, whereas Carlos wins. We're looking at a real future star, man. I think Prates starches this guy, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, Dan, I got to tell you, I've lost so much money betting against this guy that I simply don't want to do it. Like, even though I see the path very clearly for Ian Garry, I don't want any part of it because I'm afraid. I'm afraid of Carlos Prates. I'm afraid of the nightmares I'm going to have if I donate any more money to this guy's left hand. So, and I'm glad you mentioned the grappling because I do think that's something that people are getting a little mixed up on. I told you guys, I've bet the sub prop, right? There's no way in hell I'm going towards the sub prop in this fight. It wouldn't happen because Prates is a better grappler than Ian Garry. If you're not submitting MVP with a sunk in rear naked choke, Prates is never tapping in that position. So yeah, no, it would be like a late TKO or, like I said, a greasy decision. That's not something that I would be doing here. Oh Lord. Ethan, I'm not doing a shot bet on this one, buddy. I'm not confident enough on this fight. It's a coin flip. I'm steering clear of this one, man. And I'm not even sure which side of the lane you want there on that one anyway. Hit me up on Twitter. We'll see. Cause I don't even know. I'm going to say like maybe Ian Garry, but I'm not gonna, not gonna go too much harder on that one. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. That was UFC Kansas City. Dan, my guy, thank you so much for joining me here on the show. Appreciate you coming in here and hanging out. Anything you want to say, anywhere you can point these people, let them know where they can consume more of your content, support you moving forward. Let them know what's up.
Well, firstly, I want to thank you, Clint, for having me on. It's always an honor. And also shout out to all your listeners. Very, very grateful for you guys. You guys know where to follow me. My show, Half the Battle, available everywhere podcasts are found. Just type in Half the Battle. You'll find me. And one quick thing. So, last time I came on here, sometimes your guests get a little heat. My boy Brandon Olivas, every time he comes on here, people leave him comments saying he's arrogant. And then last time I came on here, people said that I was trying to big brother you. And now people are saying that, I'm shouting, therefore I must be. Guys, I am passionate. I love this sport and I speak my heart. I stand on my business, and that's that. It's not to diminish Clint's opinion or any of the fans, because I love y'all and we're allowed to disagree on stuff. But man, I feel it in my soul and I have to express myself. And I know sometimes it seems like I might be like shouting or something, but I'm not. I'm just expressing myself. I'm passionate. I love this sport so much. And yeah, I'm not going to give you some, if I'm on the fence about something, I'll be on the fence. But if I'm passionate, I'll be passionate. That's just the bottom line. So thank you guys again very, very much. Much love to you all. And I hope y'all cash some bets this weekend.
Absolutely love it, Dan, and love the passion. That's why we love having you on the show to talk fights, man. Thank you very much for hanging out with me here and breaking it down, you guys. Always, we're going to have the undefeated post-weigh-in show on Friday, the total takedown on Thursday, Clint's Hot Props, the new show coming to you every single week. We'll go over some of my favorite prop looks on this card. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the show. Do me a favor, hit the like button on your way out. Hit that subscribe button. If you're one of those new viewers, you know, those people that float around consuming the MMA content, just hit the button, just sub. We're here every single week talking the dang thing through. Hope you guys have a wonderful week, and we got more content coming to you your way very, very shortly. Got a fun, cool new outro for you guys here. New song, new artist. So make sure you guys check this one out, and we'll see you guys next time. Let's roll.
Feel like Steven Universe, I got them crystals. Big homies, they got me, big homies shoot pistols. Too much flexing, too much stressing, I need money. Shit, I get mad when I get to the bag, just know I'm still hungry. Starving, niggas is starving, head to the city where it get the darkest. Starving, niggas is starving, up in the city, everyone a target. Target, up in the market, I got a shooter who's looking for targets. Damn, you sounding heartless, I get no love, so yeah, I be heartless. Get your weight up, shit, Outcast kid finna get his weight up, his weight up. Shit, gotta eat more if you won't get your weight up. You gotta just be a shark, but I'm moving like a ghost. But there's no hocus pocus, Heath Ledger, no joke. Bro, I'm moving like a killer clown. The press life make a nigga frown. Homie Goliath to spray around, but not enough mags to rage around. I just need to relax.